Welcome to Rex. In this video, we'll be learning about how to conduct a survival analysis using Rex. The Kaplan-Meier estimator is a statistic used to estimate and plot the survival probability as a function of time. We can analyze this statistic to estimate the probability of survival at certain points in time, and we can also use it to compare the survival distributions for two or more groups. Let's first take a look at our data. The following data was obtained for 26 ovarian cancer patients in a follow-up study. The patient ID, the survival time, the survival status, where 0 indicates survival and 1 indicates death, and finally, the presence or absence of residual disease, where 1 indicates absence and 2 indicates presence. Let's say we want to analyze the survival distribution of these patients. In order to run our analysis, we first select our data, go to Survival, and Kaplan-Meier. We will first use this variable tab to define the time variable, the status variable, as well as our grouping variable. As we can see, the headings in the first row of the Excel datasheet are displayed under all variables. We can use the arrow buttons to add or remove variables from each option. For the data format, we will select data because the survival time and status of each data point are known. Next, we will set survival time as the time variable and survival status as the status variable. We then set 1 as in death as the event. Lastly, our data is grouped into those with and without residual disease, so we will set residual disease as the grouping variable. Next, we can go to the Output tab. We can use this tab to select statistics, tables, and plots to output. First, we want to perform a log rank test for the difference in survival curves between groups. Next, we want to output a graph of the survival function, which indicates the probability that the subject of interest will survive past a certain time. For our graph, we will select the following options. We want to output both the confidence interval as well as the p-values of the log rank test on the graph. Next, we also want to output a risk table with the number of subjects at risk per time point. Lastly, we also want to have a legend for our graph, and we will display the legend inside the graph. We will set the position relative to the x-axis as 100. This will place the legend at the rightmost end of the graph. For the y-axis, we will set it to 0. This will place the legend at the bottommost end of the graph. Finally, we can go to the graph options. In this tab, we can customize the properties of the graphs we output, such as the graph size, the axis range, the labels, the grid lines, as well as the axis ticks. Today we will stick with Rex's default options. Once we are done setting up our analysis, we click OK. Once the analysis is complete, a window pops up with the results. Let's take a look at our results. The life table displays the survival rate and its confidence interval over time, and separates the results by group. For example, let's take a look at the group of patients who had residual disease. At time equals 4:31, 1 death and 1 censoring event occurred. The survival rate was 0.5250, and the 95% confidence interval for the survival rate is displayed. Rex uses a log rank test to establish whether survival distributions of two groups differ significantly. As we can see, the p-value is greater than 0.05, which indicates that the survival curve for patients with and without residual disease did not differ significantly. Lastly, let's take a look at our survival curves. The survival probability is plotted as a function of time, and the curve for each group is displayed in separate colors. Overall, as we have seen in this video, using the Kaplan-Meier estimator and survival curves is an insightful approach to survival analysis. Thank you for watching today's video in Statistical Analysis in Rex Pro. Don't forget to like and subscribe to RexSoft's YouTube channel for more informational videos on statistics, data, and how to use Rex.